Hello, Paulville parents and students. This is a special podcast, if you will, and this can be used the week of November 7th through the 11th or throughout the science fair project process. And you can use this to sort of use, it's kind of like a rubric to figure out, are we on target? Let's begin by saying that this science fair project is a product of your child. So students know that this is driven solely by them and they are totally responsible. Parents, I would like for you to be encouragers and prodders, and sometimes you may have to lend a hand as far as a product or something that we need. But other than that, you're just a cheerleader, parents. Thank you for that role, and thank you for the encouragement that I know that you're going to provide for your child. Now, here's what we need to look for. Students are deciding on something that they already probably have a strong interest in anyway. At least that's my recommendation. Choose a topic that you already know a little bit about or you have a strong interest in. So as you're thinking, think, I want to prove that this can really happen or this really does happen. I want to solve a problem that I'm not really sure about, or I want to compare these products with each other. They say they do the same job, but do they do it the same, or is there one that's better than the other? So we did that one in class with our bubble gum blowing, comparing. So that one's one that should be familiar to all students. But if you want to prove something really can happen, or you want to solve a problem that you're not really sure, those are also possibilities. So let's take a look at the scientific method and how that's going to help us. The scientific method is going to be how we're going to do any of those three things. So look at them closely. The scientific method begins by saying that you've got to state the thing that you want to prove, the problem you want to solve, or you're going to state the products or items that you want to be able to compare. After you've made that statement, usually it's going to be in the form of a question. Now it's time to start doing a little bit of research about that product, item, or whatever it is that you're trying to prove. You need to do a little bit of research so you have some background knowledge. Of course, this is going to be written in your report as part of the bibliography. Where did I get some of the knowledge that I obtained so that I could conduct this experiment? When you start collecting information and data, make sure that your data or information that you're collecting is relevant to the type of thing you're trying to prove, solve, or in the comparison part. It needs to be relevant. When it came to bubble gum and which bubble gum would blow the best bubble, we really weren't concerned about the taste of the bubble gum or the smell of it, because that would have nothing to do with how well it blows bubbles. So let that be your guide as far as collecting information and data. The third thing you want to do is, based on the information you collect, you want to then make a guess of what's going to be proven, what's going to be solved, or which of these products is going to be the best ones. Then you have to design some tests. Now remember, the tests are a lot like number 2. Your tests have to be relevant to what it is you're trying to prove, solve, or compare. After you run your test, and you want to have more than one test, by the way, have several different ways to test your product or your item or what you're trying to prove or solve. You don't want to do that once and then declare suddenly this is the truth because of the one time that I had it happen for me. You want to do this more than once. So as you're doing your test of your hypothesis, you want to record the findings. Sometimes that'll be in a bar graph. You can display this in a line graph. Sometimes you may have pictures that would show this, but you want to record your findings of your test and display that both in your report and certainly on your trifold board. And then after you've recorded your findings and you've done your test more than one time to make sure that this is going to repeat itself, then you can make a conclusion based on your findings. Now, if part of the time one thing happens in your testing and part of the time something else happens, maybe you don't have a conclusion. You may have to say that your conclusion is inconclusive, meaning We really don't know if it's going to happen all the time or if it happens. And that is something that you can say. So, what does this look like when you're finished? First of all, the students know that your trifold is really kind of like a summary of what you've done. It's all of the highlights. And we have a trifold model that we made from our bubble gum experiment when we decided which one was the best bubble blowing gum. Now, along with that, you're going to write a research paper, and it's going to be the detailed report of what you did, how you did it, and it gives all of the details. That's probably going to take you at least 1.5 pages to 2 pages to describe, because you are giving the full story. You're holding nothing back, and you're making sure those who read your research see that you really were detailed and that you really did try to do something to the fullest extent. I hope that this really does help, because the products that you're going to bring to school on December 9th are going to be a trifold and a research report. You can use the scientific method to test whatever it is you're trying to do, prove, solve, or compare, and you have a rubric. Now, your rubric is going to be something that I will use to score and grade you on. Remember, if you do not have a real-world application for this test of proving, solving, or comparing, if you have no real-world connection of how someone could actually take your information and use it, then that's going to count off a complete letter grade. It is so important that whatever we're doing be relevant. Our bubblegum experiment was something that if you're trying to teach someone how to blow bubbles, they might choose the brand that we said was the best bubble blowing gum. Or if you're in a bubblegum blowing contest and you're trying to blow the biggest and the best bubbles, well, you definitely want to try this brand and not the other. So that's the real world connection for our bubble gum blowing. You've got to find something that will be very meaningful and helpful for you, or for those that read your report. I want you to have fun, guys. This is a science fair project. We're all doing it. But most importantly, we're learning how to be scientists. We're learning how to dig deeper. We're trying to find and use details. Class, have some fun. Parents, thank you for being cheerleaders and for being encouragers and for being prodders and keeping this process going. If you have any questions along the way, I'm here. I want to be someone who can be a resource for you, but I'm not going to think for you. I will constantly question and lead you to where you need to go, but I will not direct you. Let's all have fun, and remember, in the end, let's all get the big paw.